Viewer, occurring right now as you watch this video is the Steam Next Fest 2025. It's on till Monday. Don't miss it. Get in there this weekend, play some demos, baby. In order to help you do that, I want to talk about the 4 that stood out to me the most. Obviously, I didn't play every game at the Steam Next Fest. There are thousands of games that would be impossible. It's not that I couldn't do it. There's no way I could have got that done. And frankly, putting that kind of pressure on me is unrealistic and unhealthy. It's not humanly possible to play every game at Steam Next Fest. I played a bunch. These are the 4 I like the most. Before we get into it, what popped off to you if you've already been in there? If you've already been playing some demos, tell me what I missed. Let's talk about them. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, number 1, Twisted Tower. I had never heard of this game. It was not on my radar at all. It's Bioshock-esque-ish, and that's awesome. That's badass. This game is more of a horror. You know, Bioshock was creepy. This is like horror. Maybe that's just because carnival-y circus stuff freaks me out, but maybe I'm just a big yeah, this game was very cool, very Bioshock. Obviously, you don't get a lot of Bioshock clones, which is kind of surprising to me, but this one, it was doing interesting things. I noticed there were these doors like a big red X, and it basically set you up with the idea that on subsequent playthroughs, you'd be able to access different paths, kind of giving you a reason to play it more than once and sort of get a different journey, I guess. Cool, I'm interested. I feel like this game nailed the vibe, the aesthetic. There were actual moments where like the hair on the back of my neck stood up just from like the voice lines and the ambience. However, the thing that holds it back, I feel like, from being truly scary and also from being like a must get, is that it's too easy. And you can solve it simply, I think. It's just, its resources need to be tuned. You have way too much ammo, you have way too much currency, you have way too much health. You take a little bit of damage and you can like immediately just stuff in your face with all the food items you find, right? Constant ammo. I didn't need to worry about like not missing my shots. I was just able to like unload, and you're upgrading the guns too quickly. You're finding so much currency everywhere. Like the economy in this game's wrecked. I picked up the pistol, walked 15 feet to like the machine where you upgrade the pistol. Before I'd even used the pistol against an enemy, I already had enough currency to max upgrade it. The Tommy gun, I almost, I was a little bit short of the final upgrade. And then, 5 minutes later, I had enough currency and I was able to max it. I maxed out every weapon, or I maxed out all the upgrades for all 3 weapons I used in this hour-long demo. That's too fast. So I think if they could just scale that back, make it a little more survival horror as far as like the amount of resources you have, the tension would ramp up and the combat would be a lot more dynamic if you were forced to melee and you were forced to like really be careful and pick your shots. Other than that though, phenomenal. Like really cool aesthetic. The movement felt smooth. Yeah, I'm excited to see more of this one. Second game, Drop Duchy. Now we're switching it up. This is a totally different genre. According to the Steam page, it's like a roguelike puzzle deck builder. Essentially, you're playing like a version of Tetris where you're trying to not just clear lines, but move the land into such a way that you maximize the resources you can produce with your production facilities. And also maximize the number of troops you can draw from the land while minimizing how many troops your opponent can draw from the land. Because you're basically trying to get a bunch of resources, you're trying to get a bunch of troops on the board, and keep your enemy from getting too many troops. The enemy's enemy AI. This is a single player roguelike, but you're trying to keep their numbers low, your numbers high. At the end, you battle out and move forward, based on if you won or not. Trying to get to like a boss. This game, out of all 4 of the ones here, the one that really got my gears turning, where I really had to think because and I don't feel like I fully grasped everything. It just feels like there's so many options, so many strategies you can maybe come up with, at least in my short time. Ran through this demo in about an hour, maybe like 4 runs of this game. Managed to clear the first boss that like kind of ends the demo, but like by the skin of my teeth. So like there's a lot of depth here where you could go in and like try to figure out mastery of this strategy. But then it is a roguelike, so there's so much RNG that like some of it is luck. It's that fun mixture of like luck and skill and like how do you play the cards dealt to you? And speaking of cards dealt to you, the deck building stuff's kind of light, but it is engaging where you're basically buying and upgrading cards that then become the tiles that you're playing in like the geographic Tetris, if you will. So it just adds all these little elements you're trying to constantly think about, like what tile's gonna come up next? How can I place this? You know, what am I leaning towards wood production or fields and like crop production? Like, how am I going to spend these resources? A lot to this game. I didn't expect this one to wow me, but it really blew me away. This was like the thinker of the group. All right, third, we've got the Knightling. This is an open world action adventure, sort of hack and slash, but you've got like a Captain America skill set. You're throwing the shield, zigzagging it off enemies, bing, bing, bing. It's killer, dude. It has that cel-shaded look of like modern Zelda, and the big open world gives you that vibe, but it, for me, brought me back to memories of like N64 Zelda, like Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. You're kind of doing tasks for like the townspeople. You're running into these little nearby caves and stuff, little small side quests, like boom, boom, boom. Very cool. Like, I had a smile on my face the whole time I went through this demo. It's very charming. It feels amazing to move through. They really mastered movement. A lot of times these open worlds, they create all this fun stuff to do. It's like a theme park, and then it's just, your character just walks. Or you ride a horse. It gets old, it gets boring, you need fast travel. You're like sliding on this shield, you're bouncing on mushrooms, you're bouncing off higher, even higher if you land on the shield. You're bobsledding. I mean, it's crazy. This game is a joy to move through. This is one of those games where like, oh, I'm never gonna want to fast travel. Because like half of the fun of this game is moving from quest to quest because of how good it feels to get through this world. They also, in one of the trailers, and they mention it in the game, like you're trying to get the supplies to essentially make a hang glider. So very Zelda. Awesome. Like, blown away by this one. Very excited for this. Silly, charming, what's not to like? And number 4, last but not least, a blast from the past, taking me right back down nostalgia lane to my childhood. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tactical Takedown. This is from Strange Scaffold, that little indie developer that just is putting out games like 3 a year or something. They did like I Am Your Beast, El Paso, Elsewhere, a bunch of games that I need to get to. Like, I just keep seeing them. I'm like, oh, I need to play these. They look really interesting. And it seems like their whole thing is they really drill down on like one idea, one concept, one sort of element. They make like the tightest game, like they kind of iterate like on this thing, and then it's like, okay, next game. But I haven't seen it yet until playing this demo, because like I can't stay away from these sweet turtles in a turn-based, coming off Tactical Breach Wizard last year, and I saw this. I'm a turtle fan. I was like, oh man, I got to check this out. So I pulled it up. Super cool. It's essentially a brawler, but it's turn-based. The disappointment is that it's one turtle at a time. I'd love to see 2, 3, or the most famous and popular 4 turtles at once, but I do realize that would be like 4 times the amount of work to like, based on the way this plays out, if you had all 4 turtles with the actions they currently have and the abilities they have, you would need like 200 Foot Clan per level, like at once coming at you, because of how powerful your moveset is. Because you're getting swarmed by like, in some cases, 10, 15, it feels like just enemies, Like at first you're fighting 2 or 3, and then pretty soon it's like there's 10 guys coming at you. You're feeling like a Ninja Turtle, baby. You have each turtle has their own moveset. The one that really stood out, well, I mean, they all kind of stood out, but the one I liked the most was Leo's. You essentially are able to juggle enemies, taking them out of the next turn, and then on all your KOs, you're either getting increased evasion, or you're getting like an energy gauge that builds up for like your special move. Every turtle has their own special move. It was so fun. Like, you just feel like you're like slicing through these guys and just leaving them up in the air. The one that, Raphael's is definitely about like KO, and just adding action points through that. Michelangelo is all about movement. You're like leaping people, so you're able to cover a lot of distance and sort of like almost like checkers your way to king. Like, you're like leapfrogging. Really cool. Donatello's, and maybe I just played it wrong. It was the one that I didn't like click for me. Maybe I was playing it wrong. I only did one playthrough of these. But with Donatello, I ended up like trapped in the corner because I was laying down all these shock traps, but they would shock me too. So I got to the point where I couldn't move without getting shocked, but I had these like throwing knives that I'm throwing and keeping everyone stuck in the shock. And I'm just like letting the shock like slowly like whittle their health down. And maybe that's how you're supposed to play them. I don't know, but it didn't feel as fluid as the other turtles. But again, I only tried it once, and I'm learning here, right? I'm not saying that's the way you play Donnie, but this one really incredible, like really hooked me. I'm kind of like feeling these like tactical games like this that are sort of taking weird chances. Like, I mentioned Tactical Breach Wizards. I loved how that one was all about rewinding and trying to find like the perfect moveset, like the thing that really propelled you through. That was a really cool challenge. This one takes it to another level where you're not able to rewind, right? So you're committing, but it's melee. So you're really trying to like, you're not taking cover. You're trying to like do as much damage as you can and then like back up and minimize your damage. Really, really enjoyed it. Those are the 4 that for sure ended up on my wish list. I think they're worth checking out. At minimum, check out the demos for these. I guarantee, well, I don't guarantee it. Our games are subjective. I really think you'll have a good time. Don't miss these. If you got Steam, jump in there this weekend. Try these demos out. But like I said, let me know the ones that popped off to you down in the comments. If you like this video, like the video. If you dislike the video,